Juventus have started formal talks with Manchester United over the signing of Jadon Sancho, as Chelsea still wait, hoping to get a window to pounce in case they choose to take it serious and sign the Manchester United outcast. Welcome to the Network Sport. Webb is my name. It's been a sad day for football because, of course, a former England manager in Eriksson has passed away, aged 76. He has been suffering a terrible illness. I think it was due with cancer. But we do pray that, of course, he rests in peace. Of course, a very loved personality in football, and all the eulogies have flown in from left, right, and center, talking about what a great man he was, and we'll certainly miss him as the people who followed him as a manager, at least for the short time for some of us did. But let's get into the Man United talk as the latest coming through concerning our transfer situation. Days, of course, are moving now fast as we do hope for Manuel Ugarte to be coming in sooner than later. But what's happening now is that Sancho and Juventus are looking real as Juventus have held formal talks with Man United, and it is said they have made it clear to Man United that they want Sancho on loan, not as a permanent signing. They do want him on loan. Now, this could be a little bit of a complication because whereas it works for Juventus, whereas it would work for Sancho, it may not necessarily work for Man United, who feel they don't want to be paying any single penny of his too much wages he's earning. Of course, it's the United who got themselves in this place because we offered him the big contract he's on, nearly £340,000 per week. Now, that's not money any club would be willing to take. It's probably the reason why up to today we've not got a club taking him, as we just count down days now to the end of the summer transfer window. Now, Juventus are saying we want to take him but on loan, and a loan in most cases would require Man United to pay a certain portion of the player's wages because we are sort of helping you offload it, but so you need to pay a bit, some of the money. So Juventus might not be willing because that's why they are stuck on a loan move, because they need a winger, because Federico Chiesa is probably bound to join Barcelona. But they are saying we are not going to be spending the entire wage bill we have probably on him. I mean, that's a figure of speech, but the fact is it's way too much money for any club except United. But even for United now, the wages of Sancho are way too much for them to handle. So that's what's going on. So Juventus are aware of the interest from Chelsea. Chelsea themselves seem to be monitoring the situation. In fact, it seems real and serious that Chelsea could consider the idea of including Raheem Sterling in a swap deal, as they also try to ease their wage bill and, of course, make it easy for themselves. Probably, you think though that at the very worst, for me, from where I sit, whereas I told you, financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense for United to let go of Sancho and bring in Sterling because they are almost similar earners in terms of how big their wages are. I think if the worst comes to the worst and it's the only way out, that we need to deal with Chelsea. Now, that's if, in the event that the Juventus talks do not go well. I think if the worst comes to the worst, a direct swap deal where Man United takes on Raheem Sterling, we don't pay his wages, and Chelsea takes Jadon Sancho. They perhaps pay us a little bit, a few million pounds, because clearly I think Sancho is more valuable. United value him at around 40 million. I think Sancho is, rather, Raheem Sterling should be less than that. They should give us a little amount. I think it would be better business because whereas many people will feel that Raheem Sterling is washed out, I think at 27 there is a little bit of something we can get out of him at United, than because he's ahead of the likes of Ahmad. That's the reality. He might be washed out, but he's still ahead of Ahmad. And probably even Garnacho is not really there yet. He has played so many big games. He has got an experience that we don't have in our flanks. So I think for me, if that is the only available option, uh, or else we stay with Sancho, I would rather we swap him. Again, I'm insisting it's only if it's because it's days to the end of the transfer window, something has got to be done. If the worst comes to the worst and we just have to, it's the only offer on the table. Get Raheem Sterling, pay his wages, get some 10 million from Chelsea. We do it because Sterling would give us more value than Jadon Sancho would ever give us, because Eric Ten Hag will never play Sancho, but also Sterling will There is a lot that Ahmad and Garnacho can learn from Raheem Sterling, even Rashford himself. So for me, that's what I think. But that's only if it's the last resort, because the worst case scenario is for me would be the transfer window ending with Man United staying with Jadon Sancho. We shouldn't let that happen. We shouldn't let that happen if we've got such options in place. But the best and most ideal thing for United would be selling Sancho. Juventus would make sense for him, probably. Paris Saint-Germain would make sense for him. If we can't sell him, the next available option is loaning him. But you see, for me, it wouldn't make sense because at times we loan out players and we are paying the significant part of their wages. For me, that doesn't sit well with me. Sancho is a player we want to disentangle from completely. That's what I think. We need to disentangle, disengage completely from Jadon Sancho. So loan him out with an obligation to buy. If that can't happen, get a club that will take him on loan but pay his full wages, and then after the loan you can then see what will go on. But again, you can even keep loaning him until his contract runs out, but to clubs that are willing to meet his full wages. There are not so many of such clubs. That's the problem. That's why we might be cornered into either accepting whatever offer Juventus comes up with, or taking the swap deal for Raheem Sterling. I mean, let me know what you think, but it's a tight situation, by the way. The whole Sancho deal is quite complicated. It's quite complicated. It's difficult. The player needs to leave, but he's on a big contract, earning top quid. But who can meet that? What do we do then in this place? It's quite a it's a I think quite a dilemma. It's a dilemma for Man United. But yeah, in terms of Manuel Ugarte, I think it's now almost agreed. 50 million seems to be the amount that Man United and Paris Saint Germain have zeroed down on, and £1 million that is, and now agreeing on a payment structure, permanent transfer, and it's a matter of time that we are going to get the confirmation that the deal is done. I think all signs show that very soon it's going to be done, and probably doesn't. I mean, next 1 or 2 days should be, I think, a done deal for Manchester United. Processes are now ongoing to finalize this move for Manuel Ugarte to join Manchester United. That's what is happening right now. So don't you think that the Ugarte deal is stalling and stuff? No, there is progress, significant one at that, and soon we will be getting to Sila Aman, of course, to join in from Paris Saint Germain. So it's a busy coming days for Man United. For Napoli and Scott McTominay, that was agreed. Of course, United are now just finalizing. We are agreeing with him in terms of the payout and how much we are going to give him and what the payment structure will be. Will it be paid at once and stuff? All that is what's going on, and that's what we are beginning to. That's what we are trying to sort. Eriksson remains silent, but I don't think it's completely for lack of something going on. I think he's not just a full focus because there is not so much money expected for Man United to get out of Eriksson. This is a player we got for free, honestly. And we get any amount we get is okay. So Eriksson, I believe, we also could also be moving before the end of the summer, but we are only waiting to see what direction he could be headed. So the clean out is going on, is being well handled. You think about this transition with Ineos, and you think they're handling it quite smartly. But it will only make sense if we perform to the expectations of the supporters. The end will always be the one to justify the means. The means seem to be looking good and decent. The speed is okay for me. I mean, this is the first summer for Ineos, but it is the results that will justify everything that Ineos are doing right now. So, beautiful stuff going on at Manchester United. Let's hope that we get a proper conclusion on this whole Jadon Sancho, Scott McTominay, and Manuel Ugarte deals in the coming few days. My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. Like and subscribe. I will be back later with more Manchester United news as it comes.